Hi everyone, welcome to Adventures with Raven and Rowley. I'm Raven and this is Rowley. Today I'm going to talk about becoming an expatriate and buying property in France while living in Switzerland. If you're curious, join us on this journey and continue to watch. I thought I was stable, but I'm planning on moving again. The key word is planning, okay? This time it's France, okay? I don't intend to give up my U.S. citizenship, but I really like it where I'm at in Switzerland too. But Switzerland is out of the running because it's just too expensive. This is one of the most expensive countries in the world. So, tell you, what do I get from the United States? What are the benefits of me staying an American citizen? Well, of course, there's Social Security. I'm 80, 80 means you get Social Security if you worked at all, But I'd still receive Social Security if I gave up my U.S. citizenship, which I don't plan to do, okay? But, looking at things, the American government really doesn't do anything for me. I don't like the look of the potential government that's coming up next year. I was personally looking at going south to South America or maybe Middle America, depending upon who won the last presidential election. And it looks like coming up, we're going to be running the same presidential election. So again, I'm looking at someplace other than America to live. Fortunately, at this point, I'm not in America. I'm in Switzerland. So I have greater opportunities from here. But at any rate, I've chosen to go towards France. I think the gangs there are safer than American government. I can't afford the United States any longer. That's not quite true. I have purchased an acre of land in Arizona, one of those $100 down, $100 a month deal. Okay, it's out in the middle of nowhere, of the desert, with nothing. No services nearby, nothing within an hour. But I was going to make it work because choices were very limited, I intended to use my RV for parts building. For instance, the air conditioner is in great shape, the stove works, the refrigerator works, I could use the cabinets, or at least the faces of them. I intended to use my 6x12 cargo trailer that I lived in the Mojave Desert in to live while I was building. I found 6 feet by 12 feet very comfortable, That sounds strange, but it's true. So when I got the offer to come to Switzerland, I figured, I'd be here for 2.5, 3 years max. And so I continued to plan to use the RV and the trailer. Save up while I'm here and get my car fixed when I get back, things like that. I intended to start homesteading at 82 years old. Okay, start. Now, I've had almost a year of experience living in the desert, so other than my age, I figured I could do it if I go at a reasonable pace for my age and my physical condition. My body seems pretty much okay, so I think I could do the building and all that kind of stuff. I have house construction experience since I've done that before too, okay? So I didn't think it was an impossible deal, okay? I've now decided after 6 months away from America that I really don't want to go back, okay? I have family, I have friends that I will miss, of course. But then, of course, they could always come visit. I mean, what excuse do you need to come visit somebody who's already living someplace else? You don't have to pay hotel fees. You just got to get there, you know? So, yeah, y'all can come. Okay. I'd really like to stay in Switzerland, but the prices here are crazy expensive, like they are in the United States if you live in a city. I owned a house in Brooklyn, New York, approximately 40 years ago, and I paid 42, 43, 45,000, somewhere 48 maybe. It wasn't above that. Anyway, I paid that much for it, and it's now selling for 1.4 million. That very same house. I could tell you every room, every nail in that house, okay? I lived in a town in Nevada whose land 5 years ago was $2,000 an acre. They widened the highway, made it easier to get to Vegas, and now an acre of land is selling for $13,000. I can't afford to live there, and that's in the middle of the desert, okay? The biggest difference between Switzerland and the U.S. is that America has 65.9, almost 66% of its population owns their own home. In Switzerland, owning your own home is discouraged by the banks because the banks pretty much run the country, you know? I mean, everybody sends their money to Switzerland to hide it, you know? So the banks own everything. Of course, they want you to pay forever. And renting does that, you know? The average rent in Geneva is around $3,000 per month, which is about what you'd get if you could get a mortgage. If you could get a mortgage, and to own in America for $250,000 house, you'd be paying around $3,000 a month. And of course, that's before utility. That's just for the mortgage. Forget about the taxes. And anyway, Switzerland is landlocked. It has 5 countries on its border, you know, Italy, France, Germany, Austria, and the Principality of Liechtenstein. Okay. The Swiss are leaving Switzerland, period. I mean, when they have to retire, they leave Switzerland, okay? And they buy in the nearby countries located next to where they are pretty much right now. So if you're living in Geneva Canton, which I'm living in, you most likely would go to France because the Geneva Canton is shaped like a peninsula that sticks into France. The primary language in Geneva, in the Canton of Geneva and a few others nearby, is French. Okay, so crossing the border isn't that big a deal. People come from France to work in Switzerland, you know, cross the border. So anyway, I'm looking in France because of the price of the houses and the language. I don't really want to have to learn German or Italian. I have no exposure to either one of those languages, but I do have some exposure to French. So I figured, let me stay with that. Okay. Well, anyway, as I said, I'm in the Canton of Canton Genève. Canton is similar to a state in the United States, you know. So since they all speak French here, and I'm going to be here for at least another 2 years, I need to learn the language. And if I'm going to go live in France, I need to learn the language, you know. So I've started an immersive French class this week, yesterday. I had been using Duolingo and Babbel. Both of them are pretty good, but it means I can read a lot of stuff, but I can't really speak it. I haven't gotten the conjugations. I can read the major words. I know what they mean. So if I see a sentence with a couple of words in it, I can kind of make out that sentence, but to respond to that sentence or to write it from the beginning on my own, I would never get it grammatically correct. I wouldn't get it, you know. but I could read the newspaper, you know what I mean? So I've started a class where they teach by speaking the same way babies learn. So they speak French, exclusively French. Every now and then the teacher would slip up and say something in English because the rest of us just weren't getting it, you know. I was the only one in the class, I believe, that was a native English speaker, although the rest of them spoke English, which means they were working on their third language, and I was working on my second. And anyway, the politics in France are about as okay as the States right now. I mean, the politics are crazy, okay? They got strikes going on, and the government is going to shut down anytime, any minute now. The government is going to shut down any minute now. But there's a good chance of to live like a human being in France on my meager income, you know. All I really need to do is learn a language. So I'm taking this class. This class from September to June, once a week for 2 hours, is $150, and they supply all of the books. Where are you going to get that in America? There's 8 people in this class. 8 people for 2 hours. We get the teacher exclusively speaking French to us, correcting our French, and teaching us new stuff for $150 from September to June. Amazing, okay? Anyway, I've lived in a housing project, apartments, a house. I built the house with the help of my kids. I mean, we literally built the house from the ground up, you know? I've owned a double-wide motorhome, 29-foot RV, 6x12 cargo trailer, and now I live in a house again. Living in a new country to me isn't much more than changing locations of my living abode, you know, from a house to an RV to a... Anyway, countries are just bigger abodes as far as I'm concerned, so moving to France isn't that big a deal. Unfortunately, we're not ready to buy yet. We saw a real estate offering yesterday, $99,000 for 3 acres with 2 houses, a detached garage, and another outbuilding which could be refurbished into a tiny home, a studio, or some such. Can you say B&B? You know? There's a town within 10 minutes of walking, and services are available, like doctors, you know, supermarkets, things like that. But I figure our house will make its appearance when we're ready to jump. With the money in our hand. We're ready to jump with the money in our hand. Our house will appear. Okay? And that's not too far off. But you probably want to know why I wouldn't go back to America. Well, I did a thing called the black and white book. And with the black and white book, you write on one side, one page, you know, you open the book. On one side, you write all the stuff that you really dislike. Or all of the stuff that's just, you don't really want to deal with. On the other side, you put down all of the stuff you really like and the reasons why. In my case, the reasons to go back to America is, and on the other side, the reasons to stay here or go to France or stay on this side of the world. Okay, so it's black in that America versus the rest of the world. Well, there really wasn't much there for me to go back to. And to stay away is primarily the racism. I didn't notice it until I didn't experience it anymore. And then all of a sudden I was exposed to it again. It was shocking to my system, okay? Next is the expense and the low chance of being able to save anything since I'm on Social Security. I mean, I'm even buying a piece of land, $100 down, $100 a month with excessive interest because that's the only way I could see to do it. That huge 5.8% that they gave us people on Social Security last year amounted to $66 for me. Actually, I think it was a little less, but we'll round it up to 66. My rent went up by $30. Everything else went up. Food, gas, everything. I ended up with a deficit of $12 per month before I got $25 in food stamps. Thank you for the food stamps. That's an entitlement, you know. And it was helpful. And then, of course, there's a lack of good health care. Yes, there's Medicaid and Medicare. I have both. My income is that low. I have both. I can't get dental or hearing or seeing services other than basic, yes, you need it, but you can't have it. Or you can't have all of it. You can have some of it this year and some of it next year. Okay. I have nothing on my list that compels me to go back except maybe my desert land. And since I've never seen it, I bought it sight unseen on the internet. It's not dragging me back. It's pretty much a romantic dream of what I'm going to do when I'm 82. And yes, I know that rhymes. It seems that most people live near to where they were born. You know, I've never really done that. I wonder sometimes why our military and military families come back to America if they aren't in a war zone. If you've got a chance to leave, why are you staying? If you're military, why did you go back? I don't know. Maybe your answer will give me an incentive to look at going back to America. But at this time, I don't see any benefits. So, the Rowley report. Excuse me, he escaped to the Ottoman again. Come here, Rowley. Come here, come here, come here, come here. Okay. Sir Rowley the Brave is doing very well. Yeah. I bet when he was living in the shelter, that he never gave a thought to living on the other side of the world. I don't know if he gives a thought now, but you never know. I think he likes it here, you know. I think he likes the grass and running after the squirrels and chasing the birds and other assorted goodies and the foxes. I didn't give it a thought either. I never thought that such a thing would happen when I was living in the 6x12 cargo trailer in the desert, looking at the shadows on the mountain. I thought that I would be out on my desert land. As soon as I finished paying it off, I had 2 years, so I figured I'd go live in Quartzsite maybe for 9 months and then travel for a couple of, you know, that kind of thing, back and forth until I paid off the land and I could go live on it, which I would do when I was around 82, okay? But I was living out there in the desert because Social Security was so low that I couldn't even afford lot rent in an RV park, okay? And when I applied to Social Security, because I realized that there's just no way I can stay there, I need to do something else, and I made the decision to go out into the desert, Social Security said the social services said that there was a 39-month waiting list for help. 39 months. There's no reason to go back. I've got my Rowley with me. So I'll see you next Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. Your thoughts and comments and opinions would be appreciated for sure. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. Take care of you and yours, and blessed be.